Hi, everyone. Hopefully, everyone's doing well, staying safe, and enjoying the beautiful weather we currently have. I have the pleasure of being here with Kendra. She is the amazing owner of Kendra Jean Consulting. Hi, Kendra.
Hi, thanks for having me.
My pleasure. I was hoping that you can tell us, what do you do?
Of course. So, to put it broadly, I guess my title is business therapist. And if you wanted to really get down into the nitty gritty, it's more leadership consulting and developing the soft skills so that teams can better work together. But that all starts with the individual and the leader that's in charge. So, I essentially work with leaders on improving their soft skills and their communication.
When we talk about soft skills, what does that encompass? Like, what are we
So,
talking?
That's a great question. And I actually read an article today, which was quite interesting, saying that soft skills should actually be termed hard skills because they are the most important. But when you think of soft skills, it's things like your personality type in relation to others, the way that you manage your stress, how you communicate with others, your emotional intelligence. So, all of those pieces.
Perfect. And I know initially you kind of touched upon you work with big groups, big companies, and you kind of gear your message and your teachings towards leadership. But do you work with individuals?
I do actually, and I would say that probably 70% of my work is done on an individual level. So I work one on one with either leaders or aspiring leaders to really hone in on who they are as a person. So once they understand that, then they can look to motivate others better. So it all starts internally. And that's kind of where we start and we focus. And then from there, we build out and analyze their communication with others, whether it's a team, their family. So it's kind of all encompassing with all areas of their lives, which is also pretty great.
I think that you do a great job with your company. So I just want to be very open and transparent and kind of open the gate because I wouldn't want anyone to feel as though, oh, this might not be for me. So can you define what you mean by leaders? Like who is for your company, who potentially may not be?
Of course, yep. So when I say leaders, I really mean anybody that's sort of director level or above. And then aspiring leaders are those who are looking to bring their middle management, they're looking to move into senior management. And so how do they get there? And leader can be business owner, entrepreneur, CEO, any sort of executive title, or director. Those are kind of my primary clientele. And then I also work with the mid-level management because I know that they end up getting, it's almost like squashed in the middle. They have to manage up and then they also have to take care of a team below them. So um, they have a unique skill set that really is quite fascinating and it's difficult for them. So it's nice to be able to work with them on how to talk to both of the demographics that they're working with.
It's very good because you know what, in this day and age, everyone does need a little bit more assistance, kind of understanding where they could better themselves in the role that they're in.
Yes, 100%.
Can you tell me, how did you get in this industry?
Of course, yes. So this is actually quite an interesting story. I kind of was born into it, and then I obviously chose this path as well. So my mother developed the foundation for the program that I use 30 years ago when she was working in HR downtown Toronto, working alongside executives. And from there, she's used it in more of a personal context. And she and I think it was about 5 years ago, tried to go into business together. And, the mother daughter relationship, we have a fantastic personal relationship. In the business sense, we just had different visions for the same program. So then, having worked in a corporate setting myself and working alongside so many business owners and seeing the need for, the revamp of leadership, I chose to take the program, obviously with her blessing, and massaged it a little bit to modernize it, and bring it to the corporate world. So that's how I got into that.
I also will share that I have um, the pleasure of working very closely with my mom as well. So I
Geez.
definitely understand where you're coming from. Now, with this being basically a family owned business, it kind of transitions. I have a little bit of a personal question, if this hasn't been personal enough. When you were a kid, was there something that you dreamt of being?
Oh, I mean, many different things, but this is a bit odd for a kid to dream of, but I always wanted to be a linguist. Or a translator. And I had a fascination with language and the way that we can use our basic words or, going somewhere else and just learning a few key words can create an immediate rapport. And so I try to bring that into the business side as well because, it is all about communication. We all speak our own sort of language, if you will, and we all have our own culture. So I have done extensive travel growing up, and I would say that I never truly lost that dream. It's just been kind of shifted into a different avenue.
Absolutely. Is there something that you wish people would know that for the most part, it might be a little bit simple, but we don't actually think about that you see all the time?
You're not alone, especially for the business owners out there. We are constantly running, we have a million tabs open, and sometimes it feels like people don't necessarily see everything that we do. And,
Mhm.
I've been guilty of that as well, where I've turned around and snapped on some of my employees because they say, well, what are you doing here? I thought you just came in at noon every day and went home at 6. Meanwhile, I had already been there for an 8-hour day.
Yeah.
So it's the kind of snapshots of your life that other people don't see, and it's our job as business owners to educate them. And it doesn't necessarily mean saying, I've been here since 6 and I do this and I do that, but having those conversations and saying, these are my responsibilities, and perhaps that's why I can't get back to you right away. But just having transparent and open conversation is so key, just so that the right hand knows what the left hand is doing, because the us versus them mentality exists everywhere.
Yeah.
And so for a business owner, you need to know that there are people there that see you, that appreciate your work, and we know how hard you're working. And I know your employees do as well, but sometimes they just get kind of lost in the day to day.
Yeah. Can we talk a little bit about how your business works in this time of COVID? Because I understand previously it was probably in person, um, and you kind of work it person to person. Now it's a little bit different. Is that correct?
That is correct. So now everything has obviously been virtual, which I'm realizing is slightly more efficient rather than hopping around the city. Although there's something special about meeting somebody face to face. But I do find that for people who are, just onboarding or we're getting a sense of one another, there's almost a sense of openness because you do have the screen there and you're in the comfort of your own home or your own office. So people are a lot more open, I find, especially during initial calls. Um, and virtually, I mean, for teams, it's it's important to remember this and remember that sometimes working from home or having a virtual platform isn't always the worst idea for your team, just to give them that break, because it can be a lot to meet in person as well. Sometimes you're giving energy and you're taking energy, and just the time that we use getting to and from places, not just meetings, just in general as well. So that's how it's affected my business, and I know that many others have felt the same way. So I think that this could be a permanent shift for many.
Absolutely. So I do have one last question.
Okay.
So when people are looking to use your service, do you have any sort of programs that you typically recommend people to go into, or how does this work if people are looking to solicit your service?
Of course, yes, I do actually. I'm launching a group coaching program in July, so just finalizing some of the last pieces and starting enrollment within the next 2 weeks. And we would walk through the Spark method, which is the program that I mentioned at the beginning. So each week we would have a lesson, a short lesson, and then we would meet as a group and go through Q&A, breakout into breakout rooms, which you can do over Zoom, and we would just have facilitated conversation. So, it would be pertaining to the topic of the week, or something that maybe everybody's going through collectively as business owners, as directors, as leaders. So that way you not only get to have access to the course and some one-on-one time with me as well, but you would also have access to a bunch of other minds. And there's something beautiful about a bunch of minds coming together and having conversations. So that is something that I would recommend. I also do work one-on-one, as I mentioned. So if there's somebody that's interested in that, then I typically do a 30-minute free consultation call. So I'd be more than happy to do that as well and see if it's the right fit.
So then, what is everyone's best way of getting a hold of you?
The best way to get a hold of me is probably to just email hello@KendraJean, which is JEAN.ca, or you can find me on Instagram at Kendra Jean Consulting and send me a direct message. I'm also on LinkedIn under Kendra Jean, so I check all of those frequently, and you can reach me any one of those ways.
Well, thank you so much. It was amazing learning more about you and your company. If anyone's looking to get a hold of Kendra or has any inquiries, please reach out to her. Thank you so much, Kendra, for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. This was great.
My pleasure. Thank you, everyone. As always, always like, comment, and share. Thank you.
Thanks.